Okay, now we're up to the fun part, ideas and innovators in HR. This is one of my favorite sessions. In this session, 10 industry thought leaders will present in the entertaining and slightly dangerous Ignite format. Who here is familiar with Ignite as a format, as a speaking format? I hope all of you in the front are familiar with it. You're all familiar with it? Very few people in the back raise their hand, so this is great. So in this format, each speaker has 20 slides that they've prepared. The slides will auto-advance every 15 seconds automatically for a total of a 5-minute talk. The auto-advancing slides show no mercy. So these speakers will have to be on the top of their game. In this session, you will hear new ideas and innovations around talent management, technology, the workplace, analytics, robotics, and more that will challenge the way you think, all in this fast-paced and fun format. We think it's a great way to sort of wind down the conference a little bit. It's exciting, it's energetic, and we know you'll be talking, thinking, and tweeting about it long after we complete today. So, one last thing before we get our first speaker up here. This has become sort of an ideas and innovators tradition. Started last year by my friend Chris Dunn, because we definitely need to raise the energy level at the end of the long conference. A lot of nights out, a lot of fun. So let's just slow clap it up and try to get wound up. You ready? Come on, who's with me? Come on in the back, let's go. Yeah, all right. All right, all right, next up, keeping it rolling. Please welcome Mr. Ben.eubanks. Take it away, Ben.
Thank you, Steve, thank you. More made up nonsense coming your way. All right, ready to roll. All right, so for a long time we've talked about talent in terms of build or buy. Do we hire or do we develop? And I think today, because of the workforce fluidity that Cecile kind of mentioned, I think the opportunity now is not just to build or buy, but build, buy, or borrow. And it's going to open up some new ways for us to get access to talent. So really, the future's here. Who used an Uber to get here this morning? I mean, a lot of us probably did, okay? Uber, Airbnb, Fiverr, all these tools allow us to get access to little micro things that we need at the point of need. It's very flexible, on demand, and it gives us access to those things. So what's happened in the workplace too? The idea of gigs is nothing new. As long as people have been playing music, there have been gigs, okay? But now we have the idea that, wait a minute, we can actually take these little pieces of things that people do very well and plug them into the workplace and use those to get things done. So a couple companies, some of them out here on the expo floor, some of them not, but just a little small sample of the companies that are very focused on that gig economy. Winolo, you hit a button, someone shows up to do work for you in a couple hours. TopTal gives you access to the top 3% of developers online, really cool. The gig economy is pretty big. If it was an actual employer in terms of size, it'd be twice the size of McDonald's, the second largest in the US. So that's pretty cool, right? The interesting thing too is that some companies are seeing this as a way to change how they look at their internal talent. It doesn't mean you have to grab someone from outside. World Bank Group had a hiring freeze on, and they actually created an internal eBay for talent where people could bid for jobs to get things done within the company. Eye chart, I had to throw in a good data heavy slide. This blue mark here shows the growth of the gig economy in terms of labor. Okay, so we see it's still a small portion, but it's growing rapidly. And again, I just told you how big it is, and it's not changing. So if we look at the W-9s versus W-2s, HR people in here, W-2 is pretty static. W-9s are growing for that same population. So they're not people that are just doing independent contractor stuff. They're people that are doing this in addition to their day job. Why? Is it because disengagement is 2 billion% or whatever the latest statistic is? Who knows, okay? But I think that maybe it's feeding into that. I think those things are tied together because people see, you know what, I'm not getting what I need for my job, so I can go elsewhere. I can have my cake and eat it too. I can get someone to pay the bills, but then I get the flexibility, the variety. I get to pursue something that's a passion, something I'm excited about in these other opportunities, these gigs that I'm doing outside of my day job, and you know what, I'm happy with that. One of the neat things I think kind of ties into this, gives me a good example to talk about, is industry convergence. So IBM did a study, CHRO's global study, and found that the number one thing they're worried about is this thing called industry convergence. It's a big mumbo jumbo term. What does it mean? So Carnegie Mellon used to have one of the best robotics groups in the world, doing amazing research, really great work. And then Uber stole away their talent. They hired away, they lured them away, hired away those robotics people because they're pursuing a self-driving car fleet. Why? What does that mean? Well, probably Carnegie Mellon was looking at MIT and other people in their industry as sources of competition. They weren't looking to the private sector for where people could be trying to steal their talent from. The point here is that our competition, there's your video store, Lance, our competition or the best talent don't always come from those places that we expect it to. Sometimes it's kind of a surprise and it comes from an angle, a direction that we weren't even looking at originally, okay? It's funny because people think, okay, this won't happen to me. This can't disrupt us. Pew did a study about robots taking over jobs. And 2/3 of people said, yes, robots are going to take over jobs in the future, but 80% of those people said, not my job. Okay, one of the neat things I see coming is this collision between industry and legislation. Okay, people want really granular control over the how, the who, the what of talent. And this tug of war between who is an employee, who's not. Uber just finished this big battle, paid out a lot of money, but didn't technically lose in terms of who's an independent contractor, who's an employee, because people want more flexibility, companies want more flexibility, and the laws that we're using are 70, 80 years old in some cases. So one of the other neat things I see this applying to is how we use our talent processes to pull these people in. Are you onboarding a consultant so they understand your culture and can better serve your employees? Are you using training for some of your freelance workers? If you want to dig deeper into the topic, just finished Navigating the Talent Shift, a fun book, and looks at how to use those external resources to really build the best teams in your organization to get things done, okay? So, in summary, build, buy, or borrow. It's a new way of thinking about talent. The gig mentality is penetrating the workforce, and really, it's more than what you can just build or buy. Thank you.
Hey, I hope everybody enjoyed this. This is my most fun session of the conference every year. First of all, huge round of applause. Many, many thanks to all our speakers this morning. This is the hardest speaking gig at HR Tech by far, and you did a fantastically wonderful job. My appreciation and thanks to all of you, and hope to see you next year.